Welcome back. It's mayhem in Bengaluru, plain and simple. After overnight showers brought the IT capital to its knees, downpour has led to waterlogging in several low-lying areas, while water has also crept inside homes and apartments. Visuals of concerning road conditions have taken over social media, triggering netizens to slam the IT hub's infrastructure. A differently abled woman fell into a puddle formed due to rainwater caught inside a pothole. This led to a lot of criticism online as well. As you can see here, she had to be helped out. It was something which was quite pathetic indeed. Now, of course, the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister continue to pat themselves on the back for creating visionary governance and building a brand Bengaluru. The reality is what we have seen today on the streets of Bengaluru. My colleague Deepak gets you this report.
Flooded homes and streets have become a common sight in Bengaluru over the last few days because the rains have been coming down quite heavily. I'm right now at Badra layout. This is in fact the Balaji layout 4th main road where I'm standing at, and you can see even now, though the rains of course have stopped for the last couple of hours, there's at least 2 to 3 feet of water. And this entire street right now has been flooded, and overnight, while the rains of course were heavy, and especially this is the northern part of Bangalore which received a lot of rainfall. You can see at this point in time water that has gushed into their homes, vehicles at this point in time, many of them half submerged. I speak to some of the residents in this particular house. Sir, how bad was the situation when the rain came down heavily, because this part of course received a lot of rain?
It was almost a feet of water inside the house.
Okay.
Four places, 4 rooms are there, kitchen as well as utility.
Okay, let's ask my video journalist to in fact go get a little insight so that we could show you some of these pictures. You can see even now the bikes that here are parked right in the portico are really half submerged. So what's the situation inside? What are the appliances that have been damaged, and does this happen often?
Fridge is almost 1 feet of water was there below the fridge, and wooden items are all submerged in this thing. Okay. So at the 3 o'clock in the morning it started coming inside water.
Does this happen often?
No, this is the first time. Earlier it had happened. It came up to this level. It didn't come inside the house. Okay. That's the thing.
Well, for people at this point in time, that's the surprise. While of course there is heavy rainfall, but declogging of the drains of course becomes quite important. Right now the water is stagnant, not moving anywhere. You can see right now there is no flow of water. There is nothing. That just symbolizes that the drainage system here of course needs fixing. While of course the MLA and the minister here has been doing the rounds trying to fix the issue as soon as possible. But for the people at this point in time, their suffering is quite a bit. Their losses are innumerable. We'll really have to see whether the BBMP will be able to fix these problems at the earliest.
Now, local residents have also been protesting, demanding appropriate drainage and roads at the Vathur Halasaili road. Now, this is close to an area where the differently abled woman fell down. Now, while the Chief Minister is assured that all assistance will be given, it wasn't delivered on time. The Deputy Chief Minister, in fact, urged the people to help them fight waterlogging, indicating his own helplessness in the matter.
ಎದುರುಗಡೆ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಲ್ಲ, ನಾನೇ ನಿನ್ನೆ ರಾತ್ರಿ ನೋಡಿ ಅನುಭವಿಸಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಾನೇ ತೆಗೆದಾಕೊಂಡು. ನಮ್ಮ ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಎಂಬ್ರಾಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾಳೆ 24 hours 48 hours ಇಂದ ಫೀಲ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಿನ್ನೆನೇ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ರಿಲೀವ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹಿಡಿದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಶೌಸಂದ್ರ ಇದು ಚೌಡೇಶ್ವರಿ ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ 150 mm ಬಿದ್ದಿದೆ. ಅಂದರೆ 1500 ಜಾಸ್ತಿ. ಕೆಲವು ಕಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲ 300% ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸು ಬಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಇದು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ. ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಕೆಲವೆಲ್ಲ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ. ನೀರನ್ನ ಸುಮಾರು 604 ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿಗಳನ್ನು ಕೇಂದ್ರ ವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯ ಟಾಟಾನಗರಿಂದ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀವಿ. 5 SDRF NDRF ಟೀಮು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಡೆಪ್ಲಾಯ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟು ಕೆಲವು 8 ದಿನ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನೀರು ತೆಗೆದು.
Now, while this mayhem has been happening in Bengaluru, it's another indictment on the crumbling infrastructure of the city because an under-construction multi-story building has collapsed. At least 20 were feared trapped. And for more on what the latest is, let me go across to my colleague Neha, who's been joining us live from the site of construction and the collapse of this building. Neha, what are the latest updates coming in? We expect that the Chief Minister will be visiting the site shortly enough. What are the latest death toll telling us?
Well, yes, Ritangshu, in fact, there aren't 20 people who are feared trapped inside. It's just about 4 right now who are feared trapped inside. This is from an under-construction building that collapsed earlier this evening in the Babusapalya area of East Bengaluru. What is, of course, being said at this point is that at least about 14 people have been rescued by the commendable efforts here of the NDRF, the fire services and the local police as well. That has, in fact, been working here, continuously pressed into efforts. We're also told, unfortunately, that while one person, in fact, did die in this incident, there are at least another 3 or 4 who are still feared trapped under this very building. What is essentially happening right now, to give our viewers a lowdown of this, is that you can see teams of the fire services and the NDRF with their sniffer dogs at this very spot right now. And they are, in fact, following the voices of the people trapped inside that they heard a little while earlier. There were some cries for help from under this rubble, and following that, with the help of their sniffer dogs now, they are trying to clear the rubble from down under and try and reach out to those who are still feared trapped inside. Now, as far as, of course, the violations over here are concerned, we are being told that the owner, a person by name Muni Reddy here, who in fact hails from Andhra Pradesh, reportedly a resident of Bengaluru, currently isn't available on the police's radar. Of course, while they are on the lookout for him here, there are efforts now that are currently focused. The main focus of all of the teams over here, right from the NDRF to the fire services and the local police, remains on trying to retrieve those people who are trapped inside alive. As far as the search operations, of course, currently are concerned, we'll really have to wait and see. It is, quite a tedious task over here, given the fact that this was a building that was almost completely constructed. It was near finishing, and at a time like this, of course, you can see various equipment that's being used over here. There's metal cutters that's been brought in. There are the personnel here who are also now having to physically pick up these bricks and move the rubble aside, because it's not safe to use the machines anymore, given the fact that there may be people trapped under. Of course, we'll really have to keep our focus on this.
All right, now we understand how sensitive the situation is right now. It is a massive challenge for the rescue forces who have already been stretched thin for pretty much the entire day, trying to get people off to safety. I will keep coming back to you, Neha. Of course, we'll be covering the story through the night, and we'll be back with you at the top of 9 p.m. as well with Shreya. But for now, just put this in perspective. Let's just put this in perspective with all the visuals that we have seen through the day and try and put this, understand what is going on here. We've had a situation where citizens have really come on Twitter and said, let's have a challenge of finding the road. Others have been protesting, asking for better facilities in what is supposed to be an IT capital here. People have been rescued by ports. People have to be saved from and helped off potholes. It has been absolute mayhem today. I've been speaking to people in Bengaluru through the day. Some of my friends and family have been there. They've had an absolutely nightmarish experience. And let me then bring my panel to try and make sense of what has happened in the IT capital. Deepak Timia is the spokesperson of the Congress party. Dr. Sudha Halka is spokesperson of the BJP. Priya Chetty Rajagopal is managing partner of Multiversal Advisory, and Sandeep Aniruddhan is founder of the Citizens Agenda for Bangalore. Thank you all for joining me on this debate, which will be very short but yet concise. Let me start with Priya Chetty Rajagopal. Priya, this is not an ordinary Indian city. It's not even an ordinary state capital we are talking about. Bengaluru has now become the big three of India, along with Delhi NCR and Mumbai. There is the eyes of the world, especially the eyes of MNCs, eyes of the software world, of the IT world, are all on Bangalore. They look at Bangalore as a destination for investment, as the next big city. Brand Bengaluru is a big deal. Today, that brand is literally down in the dumps. Priya, I'd request you to just unmute yourself. I think you're still on mute.
Apologies. No, thank you for your question. And I said, I'm sorry, but today I think it's much less about the brand of Bengaluru and how we come across to the external world, which is really so secondary just for now, because this is getting to be an endemic situation. What is worrying and upsetting me, and I'm sure that's a lot of citizens in Bangalore, it's whichever the government is or whoever the bureaucrat is in power. The problem is that I think the kind of the sustained effort that is required, the holistic effort that is needed, is not being put in. If you look back, even at the time of the earlier citizen issues that we've had, it's always been something where the citizens are coming forward, giving suggestions, requesting for help. It's far too reactive. I want to specifically focus on a couple of things. I think we as citizens are right now tired of chest beating, and tired of also reinventing the wheel every single year. This is probably the fourth or fifth time that I've been on a panel in as many years, exactly the same thing. A few months ago, I was on a panel for a similar issue, which is exactly the opposite, though, which is on the drought in Bangalore because there was no water to drink. So what is this kind of yo-yoing that we're going to do? The fact of the matter is that there are things that need to be dealt with and need to be dealt with consistently. Vishwanathan, who does a lot of work on the lakes, he mentioned something very interesting, which is the tyranny of small decisions. It's every one of us who's responsible in some way or the other of being responsible for this, for the houses that we build, the way we do it, the lack of rainwater harvesting, etc. But that's individual. As a city, as an infrastructure, where is the focus on capacity building or on stormwater drainage or lake desilting? Every year we have to do this. And there is money that is set aside by BBMP way early in January to be able to start the stormwater desilting. As of just a few weeks ago, it's tragic to see the house falling down and people trapped under that. But in the last half an hour, I can tell you that I do a lot of work with animals. I've been dealing with, with animals being swept away in the floods, being sucked in, and it's tragic to see a 19-year-old dog just being swept away in waters in Yelhanka, which they will never be able to survive. There will be small children. If you look back at 10 years ago, there was a 5-year-old child that was sucked into a stormwater drain. Now, these are stories only when it gets to a point which is very, very, which hits the headlines, is when somebody says, we will do something about it. And right now, I feel sorry in some ways for the BBMP and others because I know they have a tough job. But at the end of it, we didn't sign up to be sympathetic or considerate. We really need to make sure that we protect lives and we protect Bangalore. So capacity building is an important one. All the issues around land use, around monitoring systems, around rainwater harvesting, lake rejuvenation, waste collection and disposal. I mean, people are dumping. Have a look. Just open up a stormwater drain. Open up one of the drains on the side of your road and just see what all is inside there. I mean, you'll be absolutely shocked. Interconnected lakes. The focus that we have incredible scientific institutions. We have ISC over here. We have so many others. Let's use that. And let's be open. I think the government is far too egoistic about responding to this. So net, I just want to be able to say that this is deeply distressing on multiple counts because it is a repetitive situation. We seem to be reinventing the wheel. The second thing is Bangalore and how it looks like is certainly a sad thing. We do not want to lose our preeminent status. But right now, it's a question of lives, infrastructure, and property, and also survival. People are trying to get through this tough situation with boats. And the third thing is, when will Bangalore sit together and figure out what is our concerted plan? What do we need to focus on? I know it sounds like just a series of words.
So, Priya, you're essentially saying that the way forward has to be a holistic approach that takes on board every stakeholder, whether it be political or bureaucratic or civilian. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'd love to be proven wrong. Over the next 10 minutes, we will end up going into a political debate once again on a blame game here. But let's see if I'm proven wrong. Let me bring in Deepak Timaya. Sir, before I know we all are. Trust me, we all are. Deepak Timaya ji, let's put in perspective about how things have changed in Bengaluru over the last 1 century or so. There was a 2017 CAG report which came out in terms of the drain network, which, as many citizens such as Priya have pointed out, which has been the bane of Bengaluru today. It came from 1900s about to a decline of 45%. Then the drain network in Vrushabhavati declined by about 51%. The number of lakes has come down from, at one point it was about 1,452. It has come down to about 194 lakes in the last decade, which is a decline of 87%. The capacity has fallen even further. across Bangalore, any professional who's been working there will say that now, in sort of a lot of the tech parks, whether it be Manyata Tech Park or others which are being built in the city, they're all being built on reclaimed lakes. They're all being built on floodwaters, which is why, for instance, Manyata Tech Park was flooded 1 week ago. It's been flooded today again. And this is a company, this is a place where one of the biggest companies have invested and formed their companies at this point. Why is it left again to citizens to once again try and pick themselves up, try and resort for a desperate calls of help, and try and be a shield for each other? Why is the government letting us down again and again?
Good evening. I'm glad that this kind of a discussion has come up, and I was also glad to watch Mrs. Rajagopal not blaming the whole thing on politicians alone, because I think that everybody understands beyond a certain point that I think the citizens themselves are responsible to a very great extent. I was just speaking to the commissioner just a while ago. He said, like you have trash yesterday, you have trash today, you have trash tomorrow, and the trash is not being created by the government. You need to clear it, of course, and somebody has to come and dispose it. But it's raining all the time, and if people don't think of the problem, and if they don't become part of becoming also the solution to the
Mr.
problem.
Themaya, I promise I'm not going to heckle you. I'm not going to interrupt. You just said it's been raining all the time. The visuals on the screen don't really. It hasn't been raining all the time. That's the problem. It rained for a very short but heavy spell last night. It rained again this evening here. But those few spells are enough to bring the city to its knees.
No, let me tell you. It is raining all the time. It says at least Bangaloreans have been feeling that it's been raining all the time, because it's, I think 2 days ago, it rained the whole night, and it's rained last night too. It started raining now too. It was raining during the day too. I think people have been feeling that, they're not been able to even decide their the daily activities, because they are not sure of when it's going to rain. But as you know, this has been a very unusual rain, because this is, I think, I was just listening to some of the experts say that this is like once in a 125 years kind of a scenario. I think this is the third highest rainfall in 124 years. I think with just a few more days of rain, I think we would surpass even the third place that we are in today, and I think this month, and we are going to go to the second place or even to the first place. And this is something no government in the world can handle. You've seen it even in foreign countries. Recently, it also rained in, in France, and they were not able to stop inundation. And and if people expect the government to stop the rains, I don't think that, they are being anything but very naive. So what I'm trying to say is that, people, like if you see all over Bangalore, people are extremely sensitive when it comes to the government making any rules, clearing their footpaths, asking them what happened to the drains in front of their houses. Why are they putting debris in front of their homes when they're building such large monstrosities? But when it comes to the problem, everybody wants to blame the government. We are also part of the government there and also part of the citizenry here. But let me tell you, it is very distressing, because if Bangalore is like this today, it's also because a lot of people have not been exercising a little more civic sense, which we are supposed to have, all of us together in a city like Bangalore. I think that only then the government also realizes...
Okay, so you're saying that it's a collective responsibility, especially when we are confronted with such unprecedented amounts of rain, which is right. We just had a statistic on our screen which showed that the rainfall which has been received in October so far is 150% which of the normal rainfall Bengaluru gets here. Having said that, Dr. Sudha Halkai, then is the solution then not to go after the instinct of blaming the government in the power in the first go, and realize that this has been something that has been building up for several decades in terms of whether it be infrastructure neglect or, let's be honest, climate change is real and is upon us?
Ritangshu, let me put the facts on the paper. Let us go into the etiological factor why the Bangalore today is in this bad condition. This is absolutely because there was utter failure in the execution of the letter and spirit of the then government, that was Congress, which has been in power from the past 55 years after the independence. And the God-made topography of Bangalore is such that it is 950 meters above the sea level. Without considering this, they have absolutely done the policy paralysis over here, and they have failed in the concrete planning of the city. And now, in these past 55 years, they have almost closed all the lakes, and today the scenario is such that every street is converted into a river and every apartment is converted into a pond. They have closed the lakes and they have come up with these residential areas. And who has done this? the Nexal politicians, then the bureaucrats, and many other people, the land grabbers over there. And now the Congress spokesperson is blaming the people of Bangalore. They are the one who are paying the taxes, and they are doing all their duty. The municipality taxes are being paid, the house taxes are being paid, and whatsoever. There are n number of taxes, and they've increased the electricity bill now as well. So in spite of all these things, it is very pathetic that the Congress is blaming the normal citizen of the Bangalore. Why did they close all the lakes then, and why didn't they come up with any comprehensive planning over there, comprehensive development planning over there? They have to answer. And where is Mr. Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar? Where he is the Bangalore Developmental Minister. He spoke a lot about brand Bengaluru. In fact, let me remind that last monsoon also we had these debates in almost all the national channels, and no, they have not come up with any of the rescue plans. In fact, he has tried to get the Ramnagar into the territory of
Dr.
the Bangalore.
I'll give you one major concession. Yes, it is.
Increase their own real estates
While Mr. Timaya
everything.
did not necessarily blame the citizens of Bangalore, he did say it's a collective responsibility. But you say that as a Bangalorean, I have every right to get upset given the taxes, given the cost of living that has increased. But Dr. Alkai, I don't buy this Congress being in power for 55 years. In the last 2 decades, I think the BJP has been power for 50% of the time, if not more. And once again, we have come down to a level of BJP Congress in sparring, which is what unfortunately I had regretted and predicted. Sandeep Anirudhan, today we saw visuals of people hitting the streets of Bangalore and protesting.
It's not about Bangalore at all. It's only the concern of the Karnataka
Okay, Sandeep
government.
Anirudhan, you are someone who's a concerned citizen. Today we saw concerned citizens hitting the streets and demanding enough is enough at this point here. What are the basic points which a citizen needs, or the citizen's agenda as you represent, which have been consistently undermined and neglected by politicians and governments across regimes for the past several years, which have led to a situation like this in Bengaluru?
Ritangshu, the mess that we see in Bengaluru today, the political class are squarely responsible for this, because it is understandable if they don't know what to do. But if the constitution has said that there is a framework for planning that the city should follow, that there is a framework for governance that the city should follow, and if the political class have not followed it, then it is squarely their fault, because it has been prescribed in the constitution, the 74th Amendment, which was passed into law in 1992. We have had 32 years to build planning capacity, to set up a metropolitan planning committee, which is the planning authority for the city, to have a devolved, decentralized, elected, and unified city government. None of these things have happened, because both the Congress and the BJP, whenever they have been in power, have been unwilling to devolve. They have been unwilling to plan. They have been unwilling to look beyond their own pockets. They have put their own pockets before the city, before the people, before the country. We don't have to look for anti-nationals anywhere else. It is our political class who are our anti-nationals. They are destroying our country. They are destroying our city. They are violating the constitution. This is lawlessness at the top. They don't believe in constitutionality. They don't believe in rule of law. And this is the result of that. This is why the city is flooded, because there has been no planning. Every minister who comes to, whoever takes up the Bangalore portfolio in Karnataka, the first thing they say is, we want to make it Singapore. Singapore has a 50-year master plan. Does Bengaluru have even a year's master plan? We have zero master plan. We don't have a planning authority.
I think we have enough of master plans and vision, so and so, Mr. Anirudhan. There's no implementation on that. And I also will give that point that Singapore also has very strict laws against littering and on public hygiene, which if they start getting imposed on a country, then we'll all be in a world of trouble. I just have time for one last answer. Priya, Chetty, Rajagopal wanted to come in. Priya, I'll let you have the last word. At the end of the day, I'll come back to the question of brand Bengaluru. This is a city which is being touted as the next big destination for Indians to move and work, and for foreign nationals to come and settle in the city. That's creating its own inside-outside debate. That's a different thing. But today, if you look at these visuals here, I don't think anyone in India would look at Bangalore as somewhere they would like to move or live or relocate or work from there.
Yes. First, I want to be able to address this issue. I think we've been very clear about the fact that both the politicians and the bureaucrats have certain constraints, but they are at this point have failed us. I've listened to both our political colleagues who have blamed the citizens. I was very, very sad to see the gaslighting that is being done to citizens by saying that they're littering and they're doing this. If we had the ward committee in place, which both parties have refused to put in, thanks to either the delimitation of Bangalore, etc. Our ward committees would have made sure at least that partially the situation would not have happened. When the ward committees were in place, we as citizens or on the ward committee could go and talk to our engineers and ask questions. Where is this? Why is it not being done? Has the stormwaters been cleared? We could not do that. So I object very strongly to the fact that concerned citizens like us who have been active and not keeping a gentle distance saying,
Exactly.
wo bhi karna hai, ye log karna hai, that's not on. We do not want to be gaslighted on that. We are active. You have taken away the ward committees from us, first. Second thing is, on the other issue which our BJP colleague had brought up, which is on the lack of planning, every government has done the same thing. The revised master plan 31 has been in constant chaos, been returned again and again, has not been done. We don't have a common unified authority. Now, these conversations come up and sound like big macro issues. They are not, because it's when you get into the detailing of a flood or a lack of water or potholes that this is highlighted. But it's highlighted every single time and every single year. So, please do not insult our intelligence anymore. We are not going to come across as citizens who pay our taxes or do this, or we want to be, Hong Kong or Singapore.
Yeah.
We want our city to be safe, to be functional, and we want a city that we can live in. Let people come in or go. The city for its citizens has to be allowed to continue. So give us our ward committees. Make sure that you follow through.
Absolutely. We don't want Singapore, we don't want Londons, we don't want Hong Kongs and all. It's very
we want Bangalore.
twinning cities with or coming up with international models is a very big and overused cliche at this point. We just want, as Priya Chetty pointed out, we just want a safe and livable city which does not crumble after a few hours of rain. The contrast of sunshine and flooded streets is something which speaks volumes as to how badly drainage facilities are in the city of Bengaluru. But nevertheless, thank you so much, Deepak Timaya, Dr. Sudha Halkai, Priya Chetty Rajagopal, and also Sandeep Anirudhan for joining us for this short debate. Thanks for watching.